If normal is what you're after, you two are going to love Derry. Go ahead, take a minute, step outside, and just take a big old sniff and let the normalcy flow through your lungs via that great Derry air. Welcome to Derry. Episode 1 is the beginning of the prequel series that was much hyped and shows us what happened to the citizens of the fictitious town of Derry, Maine, back in the 1960s. Yes, after the reimagining of It Chapter 1, It Chapter 2 with Bill Skarsgård as Pennywise the Dancing Clown. Terrific casting for the children, terrific casting for the adults, and actually, if you put both movies together, it was a pretty goddamn long story. It was better received than the Tim Curry version. All due respect to Tim Curry. But let's be honest, he was the best part of that goddamn thing. And 2 big screen adaptations. And now we have a series. Hey, we get to flesh out more of the Pennywise story. So this was a request by some viewers and some people on social media. Hey, why don't you review the It series? So time has gotten away from me. I'm getting to this a little bit late because I've been busy with work. I'm going to do episodic reviews and get them up when I can. And I was interested to see how they were going to pull this off. I will say it looks like they put some serious money behind this. Probably not The Last of Us money, but still probably some good money. And I'm not going to go over the cast members and stuff like that. You can go to IMDb. But I'll say they cast the kids pretty goddamn well. The setting is great. I like the vintage cars, the vintage styles. I like the music, and stuff like that. And I like the fact that they interwove a few bits of story here. And really, it's just keeping Pennywise in the background. It's letting things bubble up like stuff in the sink or stuff from the sewers. So I did like the Mothers of River City, the Music Man thing. I did like that theme going on. We've got trouble right here in River City. Trouble, trouble. Our children's children are going to be in trouble. And yes, this is going to be spoiler-filled because 1, the episode's already been out. 2, basically the overlay is it's just a prequel series to tell all the story about what's, going on in Derry. I did make a note. There's a Clements boy. Maddie is his name revealed later on. I don't understand why he had a pacifier. I'm sure that will be explained a little bit later on. But yeah, if you're a kid with a pacifier like that the parents probably should take care of their children better. But we do focus on a theater setting. I do miss old theaters like that. There actually is one about an hour north of me, which would be great to go to, except it's an hour north, and that's a really long goddamn drive. I miss vintage theaters. So while in the theater, this kid gets caught, Maddie, and we have Ronnie, who is the daughter, and then we have Hank, the dad. They run the theater, and since it's the early 60s and they're African American, well, there's still that heaping helping of racism that we really get a little bit later on. But Maddie ends up hitchhiking, gets picked up by some seemingly nice people, a couple parents and a couple kids in a station wagon, and it's in the middle of winter. And where you want to go? Well, anywhere but Derry. Well, we're going to Portland, so that's convenient. And for those that are in the Pacific Northwest, yes, there's actually another Portland. There's Portland, Maine, by the way. I think Portland, Maine might be the more famous Portland, to be honest, even though Portland, Oregon does like to keep things weird. We hear stuff on the radio about birth defects and everything going on because, nuclear testing, all that. And the mother is also pregnant. And there's the daughters speaking up a little bit and everything, kind of like acting up as teenagers do. There's a little boy, Ray, that can, spell out any word. And since the daughter's acting up, the mother says, well, there goes my little harlot. Oh, I see. When I use that word, it's a bad thing. So he realizes, Maddie does, that they're going back to Derry. So he realizes he's caught not only in a loop, but in a really, really fucked up situation. So he's like, out, let me out. O-U-T, O-U-T, O-U-T. They're just spelling it out and stuff like that. And then she gives birth, and it just sharts that damn thing out. And it's a winged creature. It's a winged gargoyle-like creature with decent CGI. It's not exactly perfect, but it is what it is. And that's how we open the goddamn thing. And the pacifier flies out the goddamn window into the sewer, cementing that Pennywise targeting children is, something that is going to be the theme for this whole thing. We get Hanlon and Russo Hanlon, who happens to be an African-American soldier, coming back from Korea. They go to this Air Force base, nuclear testing, Cold War, all that. There's a special projects building. Gee, I wonder if that's going to factor into the whole thing. And we did get a nice inclusion of Dreamer by Joyce Harris. That was a nice needle drop there. And then we focus on a few children, who I thought were going to be the children that we were going to focus this whole series on. Oh boy, was I wrong. So we get Lils or Lily. There's a bunch of pickle jars in the goddamn locker. And I know that sometimes there was disposable income in the 50s and 60s, but you're telling me these kids went to that extent. So she's kind of known as the pickle girl. And we also have Marge or Margie, who has glasses. And we also have two boys that are kind of obsessed with aliens. Well, Phil is. And Ted's is focusing on his studies and everything, but also has his head in the clouds. He's also a very nice Jewish boy. More on that for a jump scare in a little bit. And Ronnie, I assume, is going to be the fifth kid. Probably the second or third kid after the end of that whole thing. And there's a character named Masters that is at the military base that really disrespects Hanlon. That, oh boy, racism. Oh boy, my favorite. God damn. If you're going to be racist towards people, I mean, why? Like, why? Hate people because of who they are, not their skin tone. That's what I do. I hate myself most of all. So, we get an idea of possible pointy boobs. That's the one thing I never understood about the 50s and 60s. The brassieres just had no appeal at all. They just seemed uncomfortable. Like you could poke an eye out with those things. So, Ted's or Teddy, realize it's been 4 months since Maddie, who was a kid from before. We get a little bit of, he disappeared. We get a flashback with Maddie taking Lily to, like, not an observatory thing, but, like, like just a little, like, nice area and everything. Not a lighthouse, seemingly, but, like, a nice little area. And she gives a little bit of backstory about how her dad passed away, hence the pickle thing, where she lost her dad when she left a mood ring thing at work. He went back, some machinery is malfunctioning. He always wanted to help. He ended up getting caught in the gears. You know what really grinds my gears? When dads get caught trying to help their daughters. That's not how that works. So he died, hence the pickle stuff. Maddie maybe thinks that Lily is maybe a little bit cute because everybody has their first crush, as kids do. Oh no, it's not that I don't like you, but we are just friends. Then Maddie disappears. Says, my dad would kill me if I got caught out this late. And Lily, then we get a little thing with Lily and her dad, and her mom. I recognize the mom, I'm trying to think. But about not going to the cemetery to pay respects. You're not the only one who lost somebody. You're not the only one suffering. And then we see more stuff with We Got Trouble right here in River City. And the Music Man seems to be like the thing going on here. And then we get our first jump scare, seemingly, since the aforementioned winged baby with the pacifier thing. And boy, that sounds really weird if you just happen to skip to this part of the review. But we get fingers in the pipe and everything. And that's what Drano ain't even going to fix that bitch. So it's Maddie, seemingly, and, singing the trouble. Our children's children are going to have trouble. Which is a nice little hook for what's going to continue to happen in Derry unless they take away the powers of Pennywise the Dancing Clown. And then we got 2 months until summer, seemingly. It is April. They did say it was April 62, so I guess that makes sense. But Marge is like, hey, Lily, we got to kind of keep quiet about this because I'm your friend, but I don't want... She's really worried about her reputation, but at the same time, probably also worried Lily's just going to get picked on more. Phil has a hard time believing all this about the fingers and the pipes, yet he comes up, as Ted's pointed out, 100 different ways for aliens to exist, like they're in our dogs or controlling our dogs, but you don't believe this. So then we get a little bit of a thing from the commanding officer telling Hanlon, by the way, Masters is on latrine duty, and we're going to drink to less bullshit. Yeah, we're probably going to get more bullshit, and I don't mean bullshit in a bad way. We're probably going to get a lot of bullshit coming up. And Hanlon has issues from Korea, tells a story about living on a farm, wanting to do right by his dad. The commanding officer basically talks about how his dad was in the military and he followed suit. And then we get a little backstory on Teddy, where he is with his parents, and they're Jewish. No offense, the hair part told me that. And it was good theater there. Really haunting stuff about, hey, could somebody keep somebody underground and torture them for a while? You're asking your parents, like, not even 20 years after the Holocaust. Like, And the dad tells a pretty haunting story, like, hey, there were people that were butchered and everything, this kind of stuff. Their skin was used as lampshades. Gee, I wonder if that's going to be a jump scare later on. And it was. And that was actually a pretty goddamn good jump scare. That was actually pretty chilling. I will give them that much, because it ties into something from actual history and using on fears and, preying on fears and stuff like that. Great way to do it. And then suddenly they're doing some research. All the kids are doing research. Well, because we basically, Susie also was a little brother of Phil, because they couldn't find a babysitter and everything. Things are moving a little bit quickly here, so me thinks that we're going to get different perspectives from other groups of kids. I'm guessing. But they do microfiche research. Yes, kids, we actually had to look through newspaper clippings that were kept in historical archives, i.e. libraries. You have libraries out where you're at. Have you visited your local library? I haven't for a while because it's far away. It's actually not. I just don't like going down that road. But they do some research. Susie's there because they couldn't get a babysitter. And so a little girl here with a monstrous creature lurking nearby. What could possibly go wrong? So they visit Ronnie. And Ronnie's kind of upset because, well, that stuff that happened with Maddie, they were trying to pin it on the dad because racism and everything. We can't have black people owning businesses. God, I hate racist fuckers. I mean, they didn't say that, but they might as well have. So, then we go back to Hanlon. We are just jumping back and forth on this, and it's getting a little bit jarring. But Hanlon suddenly gets bombarded by people that are in weird masks, like we're in the fucking Crazies, the remake, not the original. And then, Polly basically ends up saving him. And who are those guys? I don't know. They want specs on the jets. I don't know why we need to go with that, but it will probably be fleshed out a little bit later. So, then we go back to the theater. Ronnie starts up the projector and everything, and they watch The Music Man, because Ronnie also heard, wait a second, you heard what song from the Stewards? Oh shit, I've heard that too. So, they're watching The Music Man, and they got that big group scene, which, or Music Man, right here in River City, watching that. And then they see Maddie there, holding something in a blanket. We'll rescue you. No, you won't. You're the reason I'm here. And then, it's like, and then suddenly the giant baby thing flies out, because why not at this point? They made a giant fucking mutant baby, was one line, I believe, from Phil. And forget having these 5 kids. Forget having the little sister. We have Teddy getting killed. He got ripped apart. Phil got ripped apart. And Susie was going to get rescued until we cut away and everything. And basically Ronnie and Lily are fine. And then Lily freaks out because she is holding the hand of Susie. Just the hand. Just the bloody hand. Oh, so that's how we start. We start off with a hell of a goddamn bang. So there we go. That is episode 1 of It. Welcome to Derry. So what do you guys think of the series so far? Yes, I'll have a review of Chapter 2 up, and I'll try to keep up on the episodic reviews as best I can. Because I would imagine that they're probably actually going to wrap this up late December. Actually, they might wrap it up by January now that I think about the calendar and everything with the holidays. But still, pretty entertaining. Definitely a nice setup and everything. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter, Letterboxd, Blue Sky handles in the description. I'm John Rentlin. Until we get back to Derry again, happy trails to you.